All right, what's up? Good morning. Happy Sunday, Heathens. How y'all doing? I am Sheena Butler, a.k.a. your leading heathen, a.k.a. Sister Roots, a.k.a. your favorite root worker. You just don't know it yet, okay? And we are back for another episode of Sunday School for Heathens, all right? On last Sunday, because this is a story time edition where I am telling what my awakening looked like personally on my journey and how I got to where I am right now. So last week, I told the first part of how I basically, a little bit of the chaos that propelled me up until the point where I got that swift foot to ass from the universe because I was not listening, where my higher self got tired of giving me gentle nudges. And so she stepped back and put her foot to my ass and propelled me into what I would describe again as one of the most beautifully tragic portions of my life, my awakening. So last week, like I said, I talked about. I talked about that this week. So we are up. We are up to 2020. Okay, where I think that life has mellowed out a little bit. Now I'm silently dying inside. Okay, I'm burning out inside, but it's okay because the external is, you know, it's neat. It's put together. It's organized. It's functional. It's functional, right? Because as long as shit is functional, we can deal with it. We can manage the lies that we tell ourselves. You can only keep small fires contained for a short period of time. Don't ever get arrogant enough to think that you can always control a flame, or you will be consumed by your unwillingness to put the fires out. And I'd be damned if I didn't learn that the hard way. Okay, so anyway, listen. So it's 2020. We in July 2020. I had a fat listen, baby. I would need a 52-part series like Risa Tisa to break this motherfucking thing the whole all the way down. So again, I'm gonna give you a little bit of it. All right. So anyway, we up to 2020. I'm trying to hit the major points. We up to 2020, and my youngest daughter starts acting a motherfucking fool. All right, her little ass always, cause she's always been one to cut up, but she started acting a fool. I mean, she was always doing some shit. Okay? I'm like, look, girl, sit your ass down. So, anyway, it's one night in July of 2020. We at the top part of July. It's 1:50. It's 2:00 in the morning. I had just went to sleep at 1:50, right? At 1:50, I laid down. I remember closing my eyes. I don't know why that goddamn time was so significant. But anyway, 1:50 a.m., my phone rings at 2:00 in the morning. It's a woman on the phone screaming, Sheena, this is such and such sister. I need for you to get around here. It's bad. The police here, blah, blah. I'm like, so you in between that part of just waking up. Just going to sleep and then somebody waking you up like, bitch, I can't comprehend what the fuck you talking about. I'm shaking and shit. I'm trying to figure out. So I was like, okay, all right, I'm on my way. You know what I'm saying? I'm running. I'm trying to put my slippers on because I got my little pajamas on. I'm finna run out the room. I forgot I ain't got no brown titties just swinging. I said, Lord, let me contain the titties. Okay? Before I had enough sense to contain the titties. Okay? I threw my bra on. I run out the house. I jump in the car. I run around the corner because they live in the next subdivision. I run around the corner. I spin in the cove. It's like 8 squad cars. I'm like, what the fuck? Baby, when I think about how that little yellow heifer took me down through there, and she's still cutting up, but she grown now. And she gonna learn some hard lessons, you hear me? But anyway, I spin in the cove. It's like 8 squad cars. So I jump out. I run towards the house. They're like, oh, ma'am, you can't go inside. I said, Lord, she dead. Oh, Lord. I said, Lord, my child dead. This child lived. So I'm telling them my name and all that. They saying I can't go inside. They can't tell me nothing. I'm like, man, what the fuck is happening? So I'm in the cove. I'm standing outside trying not to lose my shit, right? And so finally her best friend mama come outside the home and I'm like, okay, first thing I do is I peep her face. She ain't in no immediate distress, so that means these heifers is all right. Now I'm irritated because y'all done some dumb shit. Long story short, these heifers then snuck 2 niggas in the house through the attic, baby. Mind you, it is 4 sleeping adults inside. 4. Okay? They done snuck the goddamn boys in the house. And not as if that wasn't good enough, these motherfuckers then embarked on they proceeds to start a session. They in the house chiefing. That chief of reefer. Now, mind you, all of them are underage. All of them are underage. Okay? So my daughter is 14. These heifers is 14. They wildin'. You hear me? I done worked my ass off to keep these little motherfuckers out the hood. Okay, I done kept them in suburbia because I know what I came up around, and they daddy is a hood. Okay, so I have gotten them completely ballistic. Y'all know Nunu on ATL? Y'all know I'm talking when Lauren London played Nunu? That was my daughter. Still is. Want to be a hood thing so bad. Baby, that little suburban baby. I just be looking at her when I see her on social media. I don't understand what the obsession with this hood culture is. Like, these babies want to be hood rats so bad. Ghetto is the aspiration. I mean, but we know how that happened. We know that was done purposely, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, so finally, long story short, they let us inside. I'm telling y'all, as soon as I stepped foot in the kitchen, you could smell it. They were smoking that good. It wasn't no Reggie, baby. I couldn't even be mad, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, God damn, what the... But, you know, so I got to control my facial features, right? So, I mean, my facial expressions. So, I come around the corner in the living room, and the second thing I see is 2 fine-ass little niggas. They was handsome, y'all. They looked so damn good. And the first thing I said was, how old are y'all? Okay? Because they look like little college. At least seniors in high school. Okay. Baby, long story short, the police let us take them home. One of the little boys' uncles is like a lieutenant or something on the police department. You know what I'm saying? So all of it got quietly put away. I bring my little hard-headed ass child to the house. I'm in the garage. I'm hitting the black and mild. My nerves is bad. Do you hear me? This is when I'm soaking black. I'm hitting the black and mild. I'm going off. I'm moving. I'm like, because listen, it was guns involved. These folks done put the homeowners, her best friend's parents, they done pulled guns on these boys. Now they had the boys at gunpoint. And my still ass daughter jumped in front of the boy that was there for her with the pistol on the deck. I said, baby, my nerves. Do you hit me? So I'm out here hitting the black. My oldest daughter then woke up now. You know, she watching me go off. And my daughter, look, she said, are you high? And for the first time, I actually looked at my child. Baby, my child was zooted out of my mind. I said, take your ass to bed. Go to bed. Because what I'm going to do. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. Teenage girl, if you are a parent to a teenage girl, baby, shout out to the fucking soldiers, y'all. That shit is not for the faint of heart. Do you hear me? I'm almost out the game, y'all. My youngest he'll be 17 this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, we never stop parenting, but that children shit, that child shit, man, listen, bruh. I'm so glad that shit over with. But anyway, so that next day, I wake up and I go talk to her. And I'm looking at her. And I remember telling her, I said, I'm trying to save you. I promise I am. I said, but I got this sneaking suspicion. I said, I got this feeling that you gonna break my heart. I told her that. And I remember that day when when I was talking to her, she was just looking at me and she had this look on her face like, it was like she wanted to say something or she wanted me to ask her something, but she was too scared. And you know your child. You know, you know your child be on some dumb shit. Ain't no need in us acting like we don't know. We know that we know when they be on dumb shit and we know why they be on dumb shit. Okay? It is what it is. It is what it is. Human nature, genetics, babe. I know what her daddy was like at that age. I knew her daddy at that age. I was a teenager too, you know what I'm saying? So we know where they getting the tendencies and propensities from, okay? But that's why I was killing myself trying to outrun a ghost, babe. Trying to outrun when I could have just I did everything that I could, but what I did not take into account is free will, babe. Listen, the motherfuckers got the right to choose, the freedom to choose. I don't care if they your kids, y'all. Those are human beings with minds and wills and intentions and secrets and thoughts, man. You can never, that is a human being. And I don't care what you do. You can never do enough to make somebody not do what they want to do. That's just the bottom line. Whether it goes to kids, husbands, wives, parents, siblings, like anybody, you can never do enough to make somebody not do what they want to do. That's the bottom line. If they want to do it, they gonna do it, babes. And until you settle that within yourself, you punching raindrops, chasing waterfalls. You hear me? So anyway, 2 weeks later is when I found out that little girl was pregnant. And she wasn't a little bit pregnant, you hear me? We was 24 weeks. That girl bought me a baby with a vagina. That was a baby. She didn't bring me an embryo, a fetus. Baby, listen, and I'm telling you, and the reason why I will never forget that day is because that is the day, literally, if you've ever seen Get Out, that was the day that I dropped into the sunken place. That's what your awakening feels like. You drop into the sunken place. You are pushed off of a cliff into what you call it when they be going whitewater rafting. You know what I'm talking about? What's that called? The rapids. Baby, you just when you get that foot to ass and you hit that rapid, you fall into that sunken place and you got to swim your way back up. It's literally like trying to swim, like how when he fell into the sunken place and he could see her face on the screen. It was like trying to swim back up to the string. It's, man, listen, bro. That shit, so it's terrifying. My God, terrifying ain't even a word for it. Do you hear me? Listen, man. Hold on, baby. I gotta hit the blunt right quick. Give me a second. Hold on. All right, listen, I had to ground myself right quick. My bad. Whew, listen, when if you've been there, if you know, you know. That's every awakening starts with a plunge. It starts with a death. The version of you that you are in that very moment dies. Bam. It's like your consciousness is snatched out of that timeline. You're no longer in that timeline. Bye-bye, bitch. It's over with. Oh, baby. It's over with. And your suffering comes because you're fighting like hell to get back to that. And that is no more. That is no more. I don't care how you yell. I don't care how you scream. I don't care how you fight. I don't care how you cry. I don't care how you beg. I don't care how you plead. I don't care how you bargain. I don't care how you get angry. Listen, baby, it is Kubler-Ross, baby. It is the 5 stages of grief. That version of you dies. That timeline collapses. It is the literal shattering. It is the sleep. You are pulled out of that level of sleep, that level of ignorance, that level of oblivion. You don't now, you just got some information. You just had a revelation. You have just gotten that ass kicked. Shit just got real. And your suffering, the suffering that we speak of when we speak of awakening, the suffering that we speak of when we speak of that tower, the suffering that we speak of when we speak of that remembering, that suffering comes from the unwillingness to let go, the resistance to release the fact that life will never be the same. It's why certain things in this life and humans, we do a good job at trying to intellectualize life. So when you sign up for insurance and they tell you that insurance covers certain things, certain life-changing events, that term right there, the first time I saw that term, it stuck with me. And I never forgot it. And when it hit me, it hit me. Life-changing events are just that. There are reasons why certain things allow you some time to regroup. There's a reason why you get bereavement time. You see what I'm saying? Because it's understood that it's certain shit in this lifetime that's going to shake up your goddamn reality. It's going to shake up your world, and you need time to regroup. That's what those days are for. They give you, that's what PTO and shit is about in at work. Like when you start realizing how we really playing into this program, like they give you bereavement days. They give you 3 to 5 days to adjust yourself to the fact that your life ain't never gonna be the same again. But then you got to get your ass back to it. Get back to work. Get back to school. They don't give you time to be human. We've taken the humanity out of life. We don't allow for the human condition.
They tell you to keep going. And then, but when you say, hold on, but it's hard for me to keep going, they say, oh, well, that's just depression. Take a pill for that. We're here, just take this so you could keep going. And then when you say, I know, okay, all right, I could keep going, but I'm scared about what's finna happen next because I'm not quite sure what just happened here. So how can I don't know what's gonna happen next. And they say, oh, well, listen, that's anxiety. We got a pill for that. But keep going. God damn it, I said I wasn't gonna do all that crying today. But when you realize that's what awakening is, you realize what we've been stripped of. You realize how we've been forced to. You realize how we've forgotten what's important. That's what awakening is. Now they call it unplugging from the matrix. That's what consciousness is. It is the awareness of how much we have allowed everything that should never have mattered to become that which is most important. And it is so painfully revealing. It's an understanding. You like, God damn, who am I? What is this? How did I get here? Wait a minute, what is happening? Who are these people? You know what I'm saying? It's like, baby, I've been married to you? Hold on. I've been letting you do what to me? Wait a minute. Baby, listen. The best way I could put it is, in 2017, I got in a car accident. I got hit by an undocumented African in a rental with no insurance. You know how that shit turned out, right? That was another little nudge from the universe. That wasn't so. It changed it changed the trajectory of my life. Like the course that I was on was no more. So I had to regroup. And I ended up doing some shit that I shouldn't have done, making some agreements that I shouldn't have made to help somebody who needed to learn a lesson. I got my ass in the way of a person's lesson and I took a hit. That's why you can't get in people's business. All of y'all who are your Captain Saver hoes and Saver bros, you better get your ass out the way. You are in the path of someone else's lesson. Get out the way. You breaking the line. You remember on Stomp the Yard? When he was trying to break through the new theta line or whatever? Get out the way. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Get out the way. You got your own lessons to learn. Get out the way. Okay? So anyway, life is different now. But I remember I fell into this place. I'm telling you, and I've always said it, like it felt like I was instantly thrown into this nightmare and I couldn't wake up. It's like you in a bad dream and you can't wake up. That's what it feels like because, again, you're so desperate to feel that sense of normalcy. You are resisting the adjustment to the new normal. You have a new normal now. And what you're supposed to be figuring out is, are you okay? How did you get here? If this new normal is what you feel, what you are assigning the meaning of devastating to, because remember, nothing in this life has meaning until you assign it. So if you get ready and you assign this thing as the most terrible thing that has ever happened to you in life, that's what it's finna be. If you assign this the meaning of, I can't come back from this, that's what it's finna be. Be careful what you assign. Nothing in this world has meaning until you assign it meaning. And that is what awakening is about. That's what the remembering is about. It's about changing the assignments, changing the assignments that you've been given out in life. You've assigned meaning to so much dumb shit, so much bullshit. You've assigned meaning to things that don't matter at all. You've assigned meanings to people's opinions, to judgments, to prejudices, to standards that are outside of yourself. All of the meaning that you've assigned in life has been based on everything and everyone but you. You've basically let life tell you what you are. And you've reinforced that by the facade that you've built up, by the mask that you had. See, up until that point, that Sheena was a pro fixer. I was a professional fixer. I was a professional Mrs. Get Shit Done. Do you hear me? Like, it was nothing I couldn't handle. Bring it to me. Bow. Divorce. Bow. Bring it to me. Single motherhood. Bow. Bring nursing while I'm pregnant. Bow. Just all kinds of shit. I had handled my shit. I had bought a house with no help, no child support. Bow. I'm doing it. Stacking the resume looking nice. I'm getting certifications. I'm maneuvering, and I'm doing all of this with 4 kids, no help. All right? You got it under control, big homie. Or you got it under control. Or you think all of these little games you playing? You think all of this manipulating, this avoidance of self, you think you gonna keep, because you ain't manipulating nobody but yourself. You ain't manipulating nobody else. The only person you manipulating is you, with all them lies you telling that you're okay. I got it. Listen, I'm handling it. I'm managing. Yes, this is hard. Yeah, but I'm okay. And the whole goal is for you to admit I'm not okay. And so all of the lying and the manipulating and the scheming that you're doing to yourself, eventually it's going to come crashing down. I was the person who could fix it, who could make it look neat. I knew how to take the ugliest of shit and make it look good. I knew how to dress up a wound. I knew, man, listen, I knew. It's crazy. When I was a nurse, and I worked in surgical ICU, and even before when I was on surgical ICU, I used to love to see a good wound. You know what I'm saying? Especially one that they couldn't, the dressing would keep leaking, like a problematic wound. Because I would pride myself on how good I could clean that wound up and then put a dressing on it and bandage that motherfucker. And then, we had to sign our initials and date it. And I would step back and look at how beautifully I had cleaned up that wound. I had dressed that motherfucking wound. But underneath, it was still a gaping hole with dead tissue and bacteria. And it was a problem. It didn't matter how nicely I had cleaned up the evidence. Whoo, come on. Come on. It didn't matter how good I had cleaned up the evidence of a problem. It's still a problem up under there. And you gonna face that problem. You hear me? That's what this is about. That's what this awakening is about. This awakening is about facing those parts of yourself that they told you were a problem. Facing those parts of yourself that made you believe that you were less than. Facing those parts of yourself that you was told was too much. You was doing too much. You wasn't important enough. You know? All of those things that you're using to manage, all of those things that you're using to cope, those are the problems. You're not the problem. That's what you got to understand. You're not the problem. But it's the way that you are handling yourself. It's the way that you're not loving yourself. It's the way that you're not honoring yourself. It's the way that you're not making the decisions that honor you. It's the way that you're not fully being yourself. That's the problem. That's what's up under that dressing. That's what's up under them clothes. That's what's up under them degrees. That's what's up under that wedding ring. That's what's up under that marriage. That's what's up under that big ass house and that fly ass car. At the end of the day, you still gotta face this. So what? Okay, you got your money. You got your money. Cool. You got your car. You got your degrees. You know everything. You know what I'm saying? Now what? Now what? Because you still are anxious, you're still depressed, you're still conflicted inside, you're still not at peace. Why? Because you're still lying to yourself. So that's what it was. So when that pregnancy hit, that teen pregnancy, bam, okay. Okay. Baby, I remember the day that little heifer told me. And I lifted up her shirt. And she had a bump, y'all. She had a bump, like it was a little bump. It was a little bump. It was a motherfucking bump, y'all. This is my 14-year-old baby, nigga. With a bump. And I swear to God, and I have to tell y'all a story one day of how, because I was lying to myself. I was seeing, but I wasn't seeing. Y'all, I was seeing, but I wasn't seeing. Y'all, I couldn't. Oh, y'all, I couldn't. I'm telling you, but I kept asking her. I said, look, girl, are you pregnant? I asked her 4 times. To the point where my sister says, girl, why you keep asking her that? Stop asking her that. I was seeing, but I wasn't. So, but it was all within, I'm going to say within a month of her telling me. It was within a month of her telling me that I was like, my intuition was like, bitch, this girl is pregnant. And no matter how much I didn't want, oh my God, bro, I never, listen. Anyway, so what do? I jump into fix it mode because listen, this child ain't had no prenatal care. That was all I could do. I get on the phone with, baby. Anyway, I jump into fix it mode. Fast forward, we get the baby's here. The baby's here. My child ends up being pre-eclamptic. She goes back to the hospital for 5 more days. Like, when I tell you I am in hell. Okay. I done died and went to hell. Okay.
When I tell you heaven and hell is a mindset, it is a mindset, y'all. It is a frequency, y'all. It is a vibration, y'all. I have died and gone to hell. Okay? That is what I am feeling. I'm like, what in the fuck? And mind you, the whole time, I'm still getting my bachelor's. I'm finna graduate. My grandbaby was born November. I graduated December. I graduated 2 weeks after my grandbaby was born. I was doing finals, all kinds. Listen, dying. Do you hit dying? Anyway, we get the baby here. I get her in homeschool. I didn't quit working. So I had quit working. So then I went to travel. So this is February now. We in COVID now. Okay. We are in COVID. Everything is on lockdown. You know what I'm saying? Because my grandbaby was born November 2020. So now we in February 2021. Because now my family members dying. I lost 9 family members. Nigga, what the fuck is going on? I ain't been in the hospital in 3 years because I've been teaching. But now I got to put my nurse hat on because we're in lockdown. Motherfuckers is drop people. I know dying, my family dying. I'm hearing co-workers, they family dying. I'm like, man, what the fuck is happening now? I'm reading autopsy reports from other countries. I'm reading CDC reports. I'm reading any type of medical literature and stuff that's coming out, news updates. And the one thing that I see is we're handling it wrong. We are not following the protocol suggested by other countries, which is why our death rate. But anyway, we ain't gonna get there because y'all know how it is. So anyway, I'm like, man, I need to get out there. I need to see what's going on so that I know how to fight. You know what I'm saying? Because don't come to me with problems. Come to me with solutions. Nigga, like, I need to know what the fuck we doing? I need to be out there so I can see what's going on so I know how to take care of my people. You know what I'm saying? So I take a travel assignment. This is what, and now they paying this crazy ass amount of money. So that's a plus, okay? But I'm torn because I got to leave my children and all of this. And, so by this time, me and my husband have, me and the dude who's now he was my second ex-husband, but we've decided, we together, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't quarantine at my house. So he was like, I'll stay with the kids, blase. We done constructed a little plan and all of that. And we have decided that we was going to get married. So I'm like, I'm going to go, so I went to San Antonio. Get out there, see some shit. Which starts the second half of my awakening because I'm like, now it's a text. So the first part is my daughter's death, okay? Because, oh my God, let me call that back. The first part is my daughter giving birth. Oh, I call that back. Whatever that was, I call that back. I bind that. My daughter's alive, well, and will remain so. So the spiritual death, because it was her spiritual death as well. It started her awakening. My God. That's what it was. Her journey started when mine did. We're mirroring each other. Oh my God. I've been fasting, y'all. I'm sorry. I am processing in real time, but I started a fast. And anyway, okay. So it was her death as well. I told her, and that's why I was supporting her. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Anyway, so the first part of it was the ego, because the awakening, the journey seeks to strip the ego.
Okay, not kill the ego. The ego is not your enemy. The ego is what is constructed. It is what we built up to how we present to the world. Okay, it is our mask, and it is our identity. We identify as a Christian. We identify as a cis person or a homosexual or a black presenting or whatever. It is what the fuck we said we is. It is our costume. Okay, it is our costume. If we look at it from that standpoint, it's a psychological theory, a theory within psychology. You know that all of the world is a stage, and we're all players. And we show up and we put our costumes on, and we have these props our cars and our houses and all this props. We all just playing. This is just one big play, and it's beautiful for me because I'm a theater kid. I'm a theater kid, and I was a theater geek. So. I can see that made perfect sense to me how we live life as actors and actresses. You know what I'm saying? So the awakening part, the stripping down, is the tearing down of the costume of the ego. So the first part of my spiritual journey, my spiritual death and rebirth was the stripping away of me being the single mother that could fix everything and that could make shit look neat. You know what I'm saying? The second part was now me stripping away who I was, who I presented as, what my assignment was, me being a nurse. My calling is a healer. That's how I ultimately ended up back as a holistic healer, as a natural healer, as a woman who works with the earth to heal now. I was always a healer. It just showed up in different assignments. Now I'm operating in my purpose as a healer, and my assignment is me. Okay, so I was always a healer, but my assignment at that time was a nurse. When I got out there and saw what I saw, I had to make some decisions. This whole time I thought I was helping. Like when I saw the healthcare system, because let me tell you something, when you have an awakening, you see everything. It's not just your life. You see everything for what it is. And that will affect, that's why you have people who literally, listen, I told y'all I was on my way to being an executive CEO type person. And now I am a bald-headed hippie that be telling jokes and telling stories and shit and talking to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the black girl version of Jesus a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Jesus the teacher, not Jesus the savior. With y'all crazy ass. Okay, but I'm saying, I'm out here on my Jesus shit. That shit is wild. And I love it. What it took me to get here, a lot of death. That's what the awakening is. It's a lot of death. So I was just like, damn, like I can't be a part of this. That was the next part that crushed me. Because how much have I contributed to? This whole time I'm thinking I'm a part of this system that cares and is altruistic and beneficent. And then you realize that it is a part of a monster. Just one part of it. A freaky foursome, and ain't nobody getting pleasure. I mean, everybody's getting pleasure except for you. So now I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I got this nursing license. I can't, listen, I was in a master's program. I graduated with my bachelor's and immediately went into the master's program, fast track into the DNP. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to work? I'm going to take care of my people. I can't. I was on my hotel room floor in Little Rock, Arkansas, in a fetal position in September of 21. And that was another thing, baby. That's how I knew it was. Because listen, I got married in February of 21. By September of 21, I knew I was in trouble because I didn't want to be married no more. Everything was falling apart. And at that point, he hadn't really done anything But I was just like, well, he hadn't done anything that I knew about. Motherfucker was doing all kinds of shit that I ain't know nothing about. You know what I'm saying? So he was doing shit. But when I started, man, listen, when you literally start looking at yourself and looking at the agreements that you made, when I'm looking, I said, how the fuck I get married to this nigga? When I saw who he was, listen, baby, when them glasses come off, when you see, you be like, what the fuck? How I talk to you? When I say it is a literal mind fuck. But I was on my hotel room floor sobbing. And because I was like, man, what is this? What is this? Who am I? How? What the fuck is happening? Okay. But listen, before we got there, because that was September, baby, in June of 21, my daughter staged a coup in the house. Tried to turn the kids against me. It was, baby, they staged a town hall meeting and all kinds of shit. And it ended up being a mutiny. Me and my daughters came to blows. I had to put them out of my house. There were terrible things that were said. Then my family got involved. And you, if you follow me on social media, you've seen that. I don't want to rehash that shit no more. Like it was another part of the death. It was me. That was the death of me as a mother. The way that I mothered. Decentering your children and deconstructing yourself as a mother is one of the hardest things that you will ever do. And there are not many women who can actively go through with it. I've done it, and it was by far the most painful thing that I ever had to do. Out of all of the shit that I went through, taking my children out of being the center of my life and putting myself as the center of my life was by far the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, but it was the most freeing part. It is the final piece. And it must be done. It must be done so that you can evolve into the version of yourself that those children need to properly guide them through life. Up until that point, you are guiding your children from your wounds. You are parenting from your wounds. You are leading from your wounds. You are living from your wounds. And that is detrimental to your children. And my children thanked me for it. My children gave me so much grace. My children were so, and it's not linear. I need for you to understand that none of this journey is linear. It's all up and down. It's all cycles. It's all opportunity to make a decision, make the right decision, and then move past it or make the other decision. And let me not say the right decision. It's the opportunity to make the decision to honor self or not make the decision to honor self. And then go through that cycle and then be presented with it again. And it's up to you on how many times you're going to go through that cycle. So none of this is linear. It is repeating cycles of centering your kids and then decentering them, of centering religion and then decentering it again. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the old parts of you, the ghost of who you are, of who you were, the ghost of the decisions that you made in the past, they come up to haunt every now and then. You know, they come up to test every now and then. They come up to, remember when you were stupid? You know what I'm saying? Every now and then they come up to fuck with you a little bit. Make sure you're on your motherfucking square. That's all it is. The shadows. It's just the your shadow. You are not the shadow. Your shadow self is just the version of you that hides in the shadow because they're too afraid to be. They're too afraid to be seen. It's the little version of you. It's the timid version of you. It's the version of you that was told was too violent, too loud. It's that your anger is a shadow, but your anger is a protector. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, so now I done been stripped down as the fixer. That's the first part of the ego. That's the first part of my presentation. The first part of my costume is the fixer. That's been stripped down. The second part is the way that I mothered. That's been stripped down because when them little heifers broke bad, baby, when I had to put that shit went public. Like everybody knew we was beef. Yeah, but again, y'all saw that. So that went. So it was nothing of what I could do. Everything was public. There was no opportunity for me to mask. That is what the swift foot to ass does from the universe. It rips off the mask. You are given the opportunity to remove the mask slowly, to dismantle the mask gently. You are given that opportunity. You just don't always take it. But when your contract says that you got higher work to do and you out here bullshitting, your higher self will snatch that motherfucking mask off. Okay, and you still be trying to hold on to it. You know, you be sitting there like Phantom of the Opera. You got one little piece. Nah, your higher self say, give me that. Give me that too. Give me that too. You are not hiding. You are not hiding. You're going to be you because you deserve to be you because you're that fucking amazing. You deserve to get out here and be seen and be loved and be adored and be edified and be lifted up and be loved on and be caressed and be accepted and be welcomed. You deserve to be authentic. What the fuck you need a mask for? You don't need that. I know they told you that you did. I know they told you you can't be that. I know they told you you can't look that way. I know they told you you can't act that way. I know they told you to be silent. I know they told you to be calm, to be docile, to be soft-spoken, to be accommodating, to be forgiving relentlessly to your own detriment, to not speak up for yourself, to not stand up for yourself, to not request the best opportunity for you, to not give yourself the best chance possible. That's what they told you. That's what they showed you. And that's what you internalized. And the awakening is sent to say no to all of that. Give me that. That's not yours. It was never yours. So I get all of that stripped down, and the last thing I got is me as a wife. Because at least through all of that, you know, I could still post a couple of date nights, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I still got consistent dick at least, you know. Life is okay. You know, now it's just me and the boys and my husband in the house, and you know, he got this depressed ass energy because that was the biggest revelation that I had. How the fuck did I marry this depressed ass nigga? That man had a literal black cloud over him. And I married that. You know why? Because that Sheena said, it's okay. Come on. Just be here for me when I need to talk a little bit. Don't worry about the cloud. I'll take care of the cloud. No, your rain is okay. It's fine. I got mine quiet down to a drizzle. It don't bother me. I fine. I looked around and I saw how much shit I was taking on. How many agreements I made that was just sacrificial in nature, just bleeding in nature. So I still had that. And then that bastard started cutting up. And baby, when I tell you that black ass nigga showed his entire ass for a year. Listen, I was only married 3 years in the house together. It was almost full on paper, baby. I got my freedom papers the day before. What would have been my 4th anniversary, baby. Listen, I was like, give us free. Let me out of this motherfucker, okay? Baby, I was done. Do you hear me? Because in that time, so when he started cutting up, and I'm gonna wrap because I'm gonna do this one. This one gonna be an hour and a half, but all I need is 30 minutes, okay? When he started cutting up, that was it for me. Because I didn't have, that was the last little thing that I had that was kind of still propping me up. You know what I'm saying? I realized that I had certain things in life that propped me up. You know what I'm saying? Food propped me up. That's why I was gaining all that weight. You know? Black and Miles was propping me up. It was helping me to manage a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Sleeping pills. It propped me up because it helped me sleep enough to just keep going. And so when I got married to him, like I said, we started out as homies. He just didn't keep the homie vibe, you know what I'm saying? It was like, at least at the end of the day, I still had somebody who I could talk to. Because at that point, man, I was beefing with, my relationships had been just mangled with my mother, you know, all of the important people in my life. Except my sister. She never switched up on me. I fucking love that girl. I'm telling you. I tell some shit up behind that one. She never switched up on me, right? But like everything was falling apart. And I remember I had made the decision to just end this shit. And I remember I had called my little brother. Because this was right, and it was crazy, because right after that, me and his relationship fell apart for a minute. But he was there when I needed him. Because I told him, I was like, man, I'm just finna go. And he was like, man, meet me at the house. He was like, I ain't there yet, but I'm on my way. He was like, meet me at the house. And he talked to me. He was like, man, why you gonna do that shit? He said, you gonna take yourself out of here, and then all of your motherfuckers just still be here. You know what I'm saying? And I thought about that. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Why I'ma check out? And all of you musty bastards just get to keep on going on and do. No, listen, I'm gonna worry about me. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna worry about me, because I looked around and I said, damn, nobody who, I just realized I was given so much. And that's when I was like, okay. So, some gotta change. And I didn't know what that looked like. I did not know what that looked like. But I knew something had to change. And I knew in that moment. And I fully believe in that moment, because not fully believe. I know in that moment, that was it. Choose ye this day. You gonna live or you gonna die. You know what I'm saying? It's that moment that it's those moments that we have that we come to. For me, it was me literally looking my own mortality in the face. And choosing, because and it was so symbolic because I at that moment I could see every time when I had chosen all of these people above myself. It was like at that moment I was having, like, you know how they say your life flashed before your eyes? That's what it was. And I was able to see all the ways in which I had just given of myself and just, I had left myself for dead. Listen, baby, when you realize how you done gave up on you, damn what anybody else done. When you realize how you done gave up on you, that's some reality for your ass. When you truly realize, man, how the fuck I done gained all this weight. I am sick. I feel terrible. My body hurts. My mind is tortured. I am in hell. And then you got to make a decision. And listen to me, if you done made it this far in this goddamn video, the decision is you. That is the only decision to make. You. Now, y'all, I get my bald head ass on here and I laugh and I joke a lot. I might tell you a joke, but I never tell you. Choose you, baby. Whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. I don't care if it's you saying, listen, I need for you to take these kids for a couple of months. I got to take care of me. I don't care if that's you looking and saying, listen, I got to quit this job. Whatever that looks like. Choose you, because at that moment, that is when your life changes. That is when you tell the universe, listen, I'm telling you, God, spirit, angels, ancestors, all of that wishes to see you walk your highest path. The universe is always conspiring in your favor, baby. At the moment, it's like everybody just sitting around chilling and waiting, your little spirit team or whatever, and they just waiting on you to choose you. That's all they're waiting, like, they just in the break room eating coffee and donuts and shit. You know what I'm saying? You got day shift and night shift. They just come in and rotate. They come check the log, like, what she do today? Yeah, she did. She still fucking, she responded. She responded to that nigga even after. They swap out reports, and then they just waiting. And then sometime in the middle of the night, one of your spirit guides is looking, dozing off, and they hear you say, I'm done with this shit. Oh! When I tell you they hit the light like Bernie Mac on the Players Club, the green light, money. Yeah, listen, baby. The moment you say yes to you, you hit the motherfucking go button. Everything starts lining up. But listen, where the fuck you up at is because in order for it to line up, all of the shit that you done had, gotta fall apart. It's the tower. It's the tower moment. And that is what we say it is the most beautifully tragic thing that you'll ever experience, because while shit is being ripped apart at the seams, you are evolving into this, oh my God. Like, if you fully embrace it, You putting up boundaries. You severing you saying no. You dilly-dallying. You writing in your journal. You walking in nature. You going outside barefoot, and you don't know why you doing all of this, but you starting to listen to the inner call. And while shit may look absolutely crazy on the outside, you notice if you paying attention, if you don't get caught up in what's being torn apart. Don't pay attention to the construction. Don't pay attention to the construction or the deconstruction. That ain't your business. Yours is to just keep going, babes. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It's not death, it's just a shadow, babes. And you walking through, that's what the Bible, come on, that's why we doing Sunday school for heathens, so you can know what it's really telling you. You shall fear no evil. Don't fear that fear. When they say there is nothing to be afraid of but fear itself, that's not a goddamn lie. There is nothing to be afraid of out here. You got to always trust that it is always working out for your good. However you choose to trust that, whether you choose to trust that from a religious standpoint, that's why I say they be in there hooping and hollering about them scriptures and all of that, and they don't really believe it. Because if you say that all is well, if you say I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, it's still the Christ consciousness that strengthens me, because the Christ consciousness is the understanding that there is nothing to fear but fear itself. And no matter what, the universe is always conspiring in my favor and things are always working out for my highest good. Because I've never seen his seed forsaken nor his righteous begging bread. Listen, baby, I could preach it from either side. The bottom line is that all is well once you say it is. And whether you manifest that energy from believing that your power is external, or you manifest that energy from understanding that your power is internal, because as within, so without. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is within. And if the kingdom of God is within, that means that God, if the seat of God is within, and that means that God sits within, you are the temple through which the spirit of the Most High dwells, the Most High intelligence, the divine connection, the divine connection of all that is, all that permeates. It is the all, and there is nothing outside of it. It is the all, and it is you. That's what you got to understand. That's what the awakening is about. That's what you have to trust. So when I said I'm choosing me, I said, and listen, when you say you choosing me, it don't always equate to action. Because see, me talking about that suicide attempt was in July, maybe. Oh, I'm hungry. I'm sorry if you hear my stomach growl. That was in July. And from July through August, I went back and forth. I knew I needed to, but I wrestled, I toiled, because I was like, I didn't know what to do, but I knew I needed to get away. That's what I knew. And and listen, start recording, y'all. As you're going through this thing, record videos right now, because they're going to be messages to yourself. When you turn back and look, you record your awakening. I have messages to myself when I'm like, Sheena, when you come back to remember this night. When you get a download, record it. It don't have to make sense now, because it's not for you now. It's for a version of you that is to come. So make sure that you write that. That's why dream journals are so important. That's why it's important to write. That's why it's important for you to get still on this journey. It's important for you to get quiet, to get alone. That's what I had to do. That's how I had to get alone. That's why I went to St. Louis. I remember one night I was sitting, and it was like 3:00 in the morning. And I had gone back and forth because my marriage, I know at this point, I know this marriage is not going to last. It's just a matter of how long it's going to last. And I know that it's only going to last if it's me. Because listen, I'm the one who's holding this shit, because I'm the one who's constantly accommodating. I'm the one who's constantly, giving to. Like, I'm the one who's constantly acquiescing, because listen, I just need some type of peace. I don't want to argue. Whatever the fuck I need to do to shut you the fuck up,
That's what I'm going to do. Because now I got a plan. Now I got to figure out a plan. So I'm going to shut you up until I get my next set of instructions. So I started journaling. I started journaling again. And I think I started reading. I think I started like picking up little books. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I did. I started picking up little books, like from like Five Below and stuff, like little guided meditation books and things like that, right? So, but I was still torn. And like, so like things were smoothed over, you know? And it wasn't necessarily turbulent. It wasn't like shit was quiet. It was very quiet. I had settled into this quiet that I hated, because that quiet was nothing but me acquiescing. It was nothing but me trying to ignore the fact that I knew there was something else. There was something different. It was something like, this ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't it. And you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever felt that, you know nothing is necessarily wrong. Like, you know, life is just being life. Nothing is too bad. You know, we still going to church and going out to eat on Sundays and shit. And I'm sitting and I'm looking at the women in the church. I'm looking at the couples in the church. I'm sitting around, I'm looking at the couples in the restaurant and shit after church. I'm looking at how we just, we get up every day, and every Sunday we get up and then we get dressed and we go to church and then we eat and then we come home and we, you might fuck and you might fall asleep and then you're gonna wake up and this is what we doing. This is what life is. And I was working as a school nurse, and and it was hell, because every part of me was screaming, I don't want this shit. I don't want none of it. My life was never supposed to look like this. And while this may be cool, it ain't me. So then I had to choose. And that part was so torturous for me, because now I was like, the one thing I knew, I was like, man, I gotta get out of here. That's what I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And I didn't know how to get out. But the easiest thing for me to do was take a nursing assignment. Fucking, I'm finna dip. And I know he ain't gonna question it too much, because he don't give a shit about nothing but money. So if I'm finna make some money, I know I ain't got to hear nothing. He ain't finna say nothing. He ain't finna question it. But I was like, I have to leave my boys. You know what I'm saying? But I was just like, man, fuck it, because them boys that got on my nerves. They had gotten caught up in the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And they was turning on me too. And that was the part that really broke my heart, because I was like, they didn't turn my babies on me. You know what I'm saying? But then I was just like, fucking, y'all didn't care about me at the time, so I'ma care about me. Ain't nobody got to care about me. That's cool. That's cool. And I'm not saying that because, again, they kids. And we had conversations since then. And I'm telling you, that's why I say y'all got to do it. You got to choose you. Because the conversations that I was able to have with my children after all of this, the what we have now, even with my daughter, my youngest daughter, because I'm no contact with my youngest daughter right now. But even with that, she knows what it is. That's the reason why we no contact, because she knows what it is. She know what I'm gonna tolerate and what I ain't gonna tolerate. My boundary has been put down. So even in that, that's still me loving her. I love you enough to keep you from around me, because I don't want to have to put my hands on you and hurt you, because I will. Because you don't get it. You got some lessons to learn. And I got to let you learn them lessons. You know? So I remember I was crying because I was still torn, because mom guilt is a real thing. Then you start feeling like, well, maybe am I doing the wrong thing? Am I being wrong? Am I overreacting? Am I abandoning my marriage and all of that? And I remember that. And it was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I had gotten up. Because, baby, when I tell you can't sleep, when that soul gets to wrestling, baby, you can't listen. She ain't gonna let you rest. She who whispers, your highest self, your soul, she ain't gonna let you sleep. So It was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I was up and I was sitting. I had gotten out of the bed, and he was still asleep, and the house was quiet, and I was sitting in the front by my herb space, and I was just bawling, cause it was like I knew this shit was gonna be over. I knew life was getting ready to change again. It was the same way when I knew I was gonna have to leave my first husband. When I knew I was gonna be a single mother, because I knew it was nothing else that I could do, I had to walk away. I cried. It was like 6 months before I actually left. But so I had, I was sitting in there and I was crying. I was bawling because I was like, man, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Because my husband at the time, he started telling me, you changing and you constantly moving the goalpost. And like, he didn't like the fact that I was disrupting the agreement. That's what it was. I was disrupting the agreement. And he didn't like that shit. But so what he was trying to do was get me to go back. That's what he was like, I just want the old Sheena back. I know. But Sheena's gone. Christina, Sheena's gone. So, and it wasn't nothing I could do. Because I'm like, bitch, listen, I want her back too. Now, what the fuck is you talking about? Okay. She ain't here. And I remember I was crying. Oh, girl. Oh, y'all. I was crying my ass off. And I remember my husband walked in there. He walked in there. I didn't hear him get up. I didn't even hear the door open. So I didn't have time to really fix my face. And I remember he walked in there and he was like, he looked at me and he was like, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll be in there in a minute. And I remember he just turned around and walked off. And in that moment, I said, yeah, bitch, we finna go. That was all I needed. That was what I needed. It was like, at that moment, my higher self knew how much I was tussling about choosing me out of fear of hurting someone else. And at that moment, the universe sent that knock-knee motherfucker in there to show me exactly what it was. And I remember I woke up the next morning. I eventually went and got back in the bed. Or I think I fell asleep on the couch. And yeah, I fell asleep on the couch because I remember when I woke up the next morning, probably about 9, and I went in the room and he was in the bathroom. And I told him, I said, I'm finna go. I said, I'm leaving. I said, I'm going to St. Louis. And I hadn't even applied. Do you hear me? I had seen, they had, at that time, nursing agencies, if you a nurse, they send emails all goddamn day. All goddamn day. And I had seen the email come through. Maybe a week or two before. And I had gotten so many, I don't even know why that one stuck out to me. I know now why. Now I know why. But at that moment, I didn't know why. I told him, I said, I'm going to St. Louis. I took a nursing contract. I literally had not even applied for that contract. And he was like, for real? And I said, yeah. I said, I'm not okay. And if I stay here, I'm not going to be okay. I knew I was going to die. I knew I was going to have a heart attack. I knew, I'm telling you, I knew that if I didn't choose me, it wasn't going to be good for me. It was something in the pit of my stomach. I knew it. And he was like, I said, I'll work out the details and all of that. I said, I just need for you to, make sure the boys get back and forth to school and all that. And it wasn't football season, so I didn't have to worry about that. I had sat and thought about all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to miss no games. That was very important. I still wanted to make sure I was present, when I need. So the time that I went, it was downtime. I knew majority of the contract, the kids would be on holiday break. So I wouldn't have to worry about that. They would be at home most of the time, you know what I'm saying? Because the contract was from September through January. So he was like, okay. He was like, you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, because I had told him I wasn't going to go back out. When I came back from that second assignment, I told him I wasn't going to go back out. I was really supposed to be trying to go into being an entrepreneur. I had started Sister Roots and all of that, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, yeah, no, I said, I need to do this. I got to take care of me. And I knew when I left that my marriage was gonna be over. I knew that my marriage was done when I left. I knew. Like I don't think he knew it, but I knew. So I filled out, I got the contract, of course. Of course I would. Got the contract and I left. And I had this whole little thing of what I was gonna do. I'm gonna walk and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do. You don't plan shit. You don't get to plan that. See, that was me the whole time thinking that I'm still arrogant enough to think that I'm in control. All of this shit, look at it. You see what I'm saying? All of this shit that's happened. All of this that has happened. Because now we're in September of 22. All of this shit that's happened in the last 2 years. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, but all of this shit that's happened in the last 2 years, and I still think I can control something. It's insanity. So I get to St. Louis. Baby, and instantly I get shut down. Ain't no walking. Baby, St. Louis, that temperature dropped as soon as I got there. You hear me? Because I had tried to get one with a little workout or where I could walk, because I did a lot of walk. Baby, none of that. That temperature dropped so fast in St. Louis. Baby, that's some cold. I ain't never felt no shit like that in my life. They say Chicago cold different too. But listen, I couldn't do nothing. Do you hear me? I spent the first month in the Airbnb and I was writing. That was actually the time when I started writing about you in the Bible. But that wasn't what I was there for. And it was like, no matter what I tried to do, the first Airbnb, the only thing, I spent so much time meditating and just listening to frequencies. That's when I got the first month out there. I spent getting still, getting comfortable with being still. I did a lot of, because at first I was gonna try and work a lot of overtime, and then I was like, no, that's not what everything that I kept trying to do was like, no, that's not what you're here for. That's not what you're here for. So I got comfortable with meditating. I got comfortable with deep breathing. I got comfortable with just slowing down. I spent that first month slowing down, even though I was working. Like I worked 4, I was on 4, off 3. And it was slow. I did a lot of movie, watching a lot of TV. I did a lot of sleeping. I was exhausted. I didn't realize, y'all, I spent damn near just a month sleeping. The floor that I got, it was some bullshit, but I was able to manage it. But that was a whole nother part of my nursing awakening too. Like I knew after that, I knew without a doubt. Now, when I came home from Little Rock, I knew I wasn't supposed to go back out there in nursing, but I knew without a doubt after I left St. Louis that I was 100% getting ready to change course, and nursing was not going to be a part of it. And I tried to take one more assignment because when I got back from St. Louis, he tried one more time. Like it was one more test because he was trying to be super nice. Everything was quote unquote perfect. But it was that one thing. And I knew, and if you give people, because that's why I tell you, like, men know when you're trying to get away from them. They know when you're trying to change. People know when you're waking up. People know when you're getting out of the agreements. People know when your soul is restless. And they'll do everything that they can to try and stop you. You see what I'm saying? To try and get you to stay the same. It's the test on if you're going to choose yourself. And I remember we was arguing. But hold on before I get there. So the first month, I just spent sleeping. And the second month, that is when the real shadows came up. I got in an Airbnb that threw me back into one of the most traumatic experiences of my childhood. The house that I was in was very, very reminiscent of a great aunt that used to babysit me, who was very abusive. That woman tortured me. And so being in that house sent me into a full-blown trigger. And what I know now, what it did was it forced my little girl to the forefront. It forced little Sheena to the forefront. And I couldn't sleep. So I was working and not sleeping. Like it was so bad. It was so bad for like the first 7 days that I was in that house. And then I crashed. And I crashed on my off day. And thank goodness I was off for 3 days. And I slept for like 3 days. And when I woke up, all of these memories were here to meet me. And I had to sit and I had to work through them. And I journaled and I cried and I meditated and I deep breathed. And that was when I started fasting. So I started doing these little, like 3 days, like 24 hours of no eating, like 24 hours of water only, 24 hours of fruit only. And I started that and I started extending them. And as I was noticing, as I was fasting, it was like my brain was coming up and things were making sense and I was remembering things and I was able to process all of this. And I started listening to audiobooks. I was listening to, no, my audiobooks hadn't started then. That was when I started listening to intuitive guides. That's when I found the Queen Poe. I had found the Queen Poe maybe the summer before. And I'm telling you, if you're not following the Queen Poe on YouTube and on socials and you're not in her Patreon and all of that, you are missing. You're missing out. That woman was a light for me. That I started watching her videos about shadow work and about being your authentic self and about, and she spoke about hoodoo and because during that time, that's when I will say, I don't claim to be like, the way I feel, I got a little bit of everything in me. But hoodoo and root work was what started to ground me. I was able to find myself, identify myself in that. Like literally the plants started talking, the medicine started talking. Like I always say, I didn't find Sister Ruth, she found me, or better yet, she emerged. She was always here. I just had to shed enough for her to be. Because one day I'll talk about like how, baby, listen, the way I communicate, like when I say root worker, the way that the plants speak. Like my medicine is literal magic. And if you read, it's over 400 reviews. I don't have to lie. But anyway, so I was able to work and I did a lot of journaling, a lot of scripting. And then my spiritual gifts started coming back online, real tough. Now, when I was a kid, and if you are a person who's gifted, and honestly, let me say this, we all have spiritual gifts. We all do. Like you are an energetic being. Spiritual gifts are nothing more than your heightened senses as an energetic and spiritual being. So your ability to see more, your ability to hear more, your ability to feel more, your ability to understand more, your ability to know more, all of the clairs, that is just you fine-tuning your spiritual being, your spiritual essence, your energetic essence. That's you fine-tuning what you are as a frequency, because you are a frequency at base level. You operate on a frequency. So when you fast and the body becomes clean and it's not polluted and clouded with all of the processed foods and dead flesh and all of that, your body begins to clean itself out. And as the body becomes clean, the spirit becomes clean, the energy becomes clean, so the frequency is heightened. So I began to hear things. I began to see things, and all of it made sense, and it was freaking me the fuck out. But like when I would see something or I would dream, because it started in my dreams again, because I was a dreamer for a very long time, and all of my dreams came true. I could see things, like I would know things. And but in the process of all of that stress, all of that just watered down. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't dream anymore. I couldn't hear anymore because I wasn't sleeping. So messages started coming through in my dreams again. And then, I would be at work and somebody would say something and confront. And I'd be at work like, oh shit, I saw this, I saw this, I saw this. You know what I'm saying? Or I'll be thinking about something and somebody will call me and say, such and such happened. I'll be like, hold on, wait. Or I'll see something. I'll have a download and I'll call my sister and ask her about something. And she'll be like, how you know something? And so all of that started happening. And then I did an 11-day fast. I did an 11-day water fast, water only, as my contract was coming to an end. 11 days of water only. And that is when I had my Kundalini awakening. And that was the first time my third eye and I could not believe it. It was amazing. And the best way that I can describe it is because I had this intense scripting session. Like all of a sudden, every question that I ever had about anything in my life, all of a sudden I had the answers. Any situation in my life that had not made sense, all of a sudden made perfect sense. And it felt like I was floating. I literally felt... like it was a state, because I was out listening, baby. When I tell you Andre 3000, his New Blue Moon, New Blue Sun, his flute album, that's a Reiki album. That's a healing album. It's a frequency healing album. I remember I had my headphones on and I was meditating. I was just breathing. I was just deep breathing, and the music was playing, and all of a sudden it was like I lifted out of my body. Like I knew I was on the couch, and it's transcendental meditation. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And everything made sense. And when I sat up and I just started writing, and it was all of this information that was coming through. And then I had bought a set of tarot cards. You know what I'm saying? And I started playing with the cards. And all of the cards, I'm looking at the cards and being able to interpret what's on the cards. And then I'm reading the book, and what I'm seeing on the cards is matching up with what's in the book. And everything is making sense. And I'm like, holy shit. And then I go to work and I'm talking to people. And as I'm talking to them and I'm understanding and I'm asking them questions, and they looking at me like, how the fuck you know that? And I'm sitting there like, how the fuck did I know that? You know what I'm saying? And I knew, I said, I'm going home to get a divorce and life is going to be different. And it was like at that moment, I came forth. Who you sitting and listening to, who gets up and does these videos, it's like she was born. She was birthed, like she woke up. Because that version of Sheena, it was like she was on hospice, like she had been on hospice. And I was sitting and I was holding her hand. And I was telling her it was okay. She could go. Because God damn it, I got it from here. I got it from here. And I promise you, we gonna be all right. From now on, I'm gonna honor self. From now on, I'm gonna speak up for self. From now on, I'm gonna make the agreements that honor me, and I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna go wrap your shit up, girl. And I'm gonna sell your house, and I'm gonna end that contract that you got with that nigga,
I'm going to go to court for you. I'm going to take care of all of that. You rest. Hold on, baby. Yes, baby. Give me 1 second, okay? I'm doing a video. Yeah, go ahead and get it. And that's why it's time for me to wrap it up. But listen, and that's what I did. I blessed her and I honored her. And I have a video. It's like the farewell video. It was like her saying goodbye that I recorded the day that I left St. Louis to myself, to this version of me. And I came home and I ended that marriage. And it wasn't immediate. It took me a year, about a year and a half to wrap up everything. Because he was bucking the system. He didn't want to, he wanted to fight. He thought, maybe we should work things out. And for a minute, what you do out of fear. Make no mistake about it. Even after even after getting a full knowledge, a full understanding, the ego will still interfere. Fear will still interfere, and you'll go home and get scared, because that's what happened for a minute. And so I acquiesced for a few weeks. It wasn't long. It wasn't long, because a nigga gonna prove you're right every time. But I remember one day we was arguing, and I had been trying to be so nice. But what it was is I wasn't saying what I really needed to say. Like I was trying to do a soft exit. And you can't always do a soft exit. Sometimes you gotta just pull a Band-Aid off. And so I was trying to do a soft exit and still honor him and not me, you know what I'm saying? And I remember one day we was arguing and I said something about that's why I'm in St. Louis. And he was like, you in St. Louis because you spent that money. And now this money that he's talking about is something that, that was a thing between me and him, like I said, but this was an argument that we had and was supposed to be laid to rest. And, it was one of the reasons that he had used to, manipulate the way that he had manipulated. So when he brought that up, when he said, you in St. Louis because you spent that money, I said, nah, I'm in St. Louis because I got a nigga I can't depend on. And I don't want to do this anymore. And we had already been having a couple of other arguments, and I had went and gotten divorce papers. Because every time that bastard got mad, that's what he would do. Every major argument, he would, can we just end this? And at first, it would devastate me because he knew how I felt about a family unit. You know what I'm saying? And he knew how important it was for me, for my kids to not have to go through that and all that no more. So, but that last time, I went and got them divorce papers. And so when I said, now I'm in St. Louis because I got a nigga I can't depend on and I don't want to do this no more. And he said, can we just end this? I said, stay right there. And I came back with the motherfucking papers. Baby, I could have bought his ass for $1. He looked at me like, yeah, it's over with, big homie. It's time to go. And so he drug it out for another year. And as you know, if you saw me on social media, I ended up having to, sell my house and all of that. Which I didn't even know when I left St. Louis, I did not think I was gonna have to sell my house. That was a plot twist. I did not see that shit coming. I thought that nigga was gonna go silently into the night. He did not. Okay. So anyway, that's how I ended up here. But during that time, that year, because he left my house shortly after I came back, but all of his stuff was at my house. So he left my house and while we were supposed to be going through the divorce and all of that, and he kept up all this chaos and all of that. But for that year, it was a year after I came back from St. Louis. It was a year that I spent refining me. Okay? It's like that first year when the baby's born and then they learn how to walk. I spent that year learning how to walk. And I listened to books. I listened to all of these sacred texts. That's when my deconstruction and all of that came. That's why I found the great cosmic mother. That's why I shed my religion and I learned and I stepped into my spirituality. I shed that part of the ego as me who identified as a Christian. And then I began decentering men. And so I shed the part of me that identified as a woman that wanted to interact with men. that identified herself with relationships. I shed that part of me. I don't need that anymore. Then read my goddamn birth chart. I was never supposed to be married anyway. I said, well, goddamn it, you see? That's why it's important. I've been married twice and wasn't even supposed to be doing that shit. Okay? But all in all, I was always going to end up here. Being authentically me. I was 17 years old. And I was thinking about that last night. 17 years old when I was faced with my first decision of life or death to choose me. And that was when I told my kids, daddy, that when I graduated from high school, which would be the following year, that I was moving to Memphis so that I could go to nursing school because my plan was supposed to start. Listen, I had a plan. 10-year plan. Perfectly mapped out. And I told him I was going a little raggedy ass hood nigga from New Orleans. And when I first told him, he acted like he didn't even care. He was like, man, that's on you. And it hurt my feelings real bad because, it wasn't we could stay. I thought maybe it would have motivated him to do a little better, but nah. I thought maybe he would have said, we could work it out. I support you. Nah, none of that. So I left. I cried, but I was going to Memphis. 2 days later, that nigga called me talking about we need to talk. And when I go over there, he was like, I don't want you to go, bro. Everything in me knew that I was not supposed to. I was 17 years old the first time my higher self said, you ready? I was 39 when I said yes. I'm telling you, for every bruise, for every bump, for every tear, for every wound, for every betrayal, for every loss, I'm grateful. Could this have been a hell of a lot smoother ride? Absolutely. But then I wouldn't be me. That's how I know I believe in this motherfucking soul contract. You hear me? I'm grateful. It got me right here. Talking, kiki, and ha-haing, and teaching you heathens. So I hope that you have enjoyed my story. I hope it wasn't too long. I know this one was longer, but I'm not coming back to it. Next week, we back at it. Sunday School for Heathens. Thank you for listening to me. I love y'all deep. Have a good one.